So when robbing trains at Silver Dollar City, you never knew what you were going to get. You would get some junk, some horrible treatment, and every now and then something would happen that would make you cry when you robbed them. Robbing trains at Silver Dollar City was an amazing experience. You never knew what you were going to get. You had this incredible interaction with the people on the trains. Of course, as part of the robbery, you're robbing them and they give you things. And some of the stuff they give you would just blow you away sometimes. So here's some of my favorite things that I got while robbing the train, a couple stories. And this time that when I robbed the train, they actually made me cry out there in front of everybody. Now, of course, kids were the best part about robbing the trains, and kids would come up with all sorts of stuff. I actually had a number of times where you would rob the kids, and of course, we're after silver and gold, silver, and the kids would actually take rocks and they would paint them gold and silver so they could give you gold and silver. It was actually really cool that they had taken the time to make this for you. We would get pictures that the kids had drawn of the robbers. We would get some kids that would flash guns at us and threaten us, which was kind of funny most of the time, as long as they weren't serious about it. We would have people give us wooden nickels. Yeah, hey, it was a thing of the time. So it was always kind of fun when you got a wooden nickel when you were robbing the train. We would get candy. We would get taffy and little mini candies and stuff, and that was awesome when it was pre-wrapped, and so we knew that it was safe. Chocolate wasn't always so good, especially in summer, because it would melt, but we loved getting candy, and you would have people that would actually go to stores and buy candy bundles just for the robbers. That was really kind of neat when you'd see something special put together and tied up with a bow or something. We would have people that would bake goods for us. Now, generally, if it was a homemade thing, we were really kind of cautious about it, and while we might take it, we may not necessarily eat it, simply because you don't know where it's coming from or what's in it. Even if it was food from the park, we may not necessarily eat it because you don't know what's happened to it. But if it was prepackaged, or if it was somebody that we had seen fairly often, well then, hey, you may see us eating it during the show if they gave it to us, because, like the cookie lady. I've mentioned her in other videos. She always had her cookies prepackaged. We knew who she was. We talked to her. We knew these things were safe. And so, cookies. We love cookies. Now, the biggest thing you would get off of the train, of course, was money, because that's what the robbers are after. People would often give us coins, and we'd sometimes get handfuls of change. Coins generally would go into our pockets or someplace else during the show, and then periodically between shows, we would empty them into a big jar in the robber shack. And when I say big jar, I mean a big jar. And we would fill this thing up several times a year. Most of that actually went to a charity that was actually hosted by Silver Dollar City called Share It Forward. And it was meant to help employees that had a hard time or having a emergency need. And so this all went to that. And it was really kind of nice to be able to help those in need. The amount of money that we would see come up in this, it would be several $100s over the course of the year. Dollar bills would oftentimes go there. They may go to help pay for supplies. We would get paper money on a regular basis, and anytime we get paper money, we'd make a big deal out of it. Whoa, look at this, Alfie, I got dollars! And we had a lot of fun. We'd make a big deal. We'd make the guests feel great for giving us paper money, and then off we go with it. Ones were pretty common. Fives, we would oftentimes, kind of hint, a little bit, are you sure about the $5? And usually, if they're holding out a $5 bill, they're meaning for us to have it. Now, of course, the amount of money that you would get off the train would fluctuate depending upon the times. And a lot of times we did kind of like to try to keep track of about how much we got. And on an average day, you would get between $20 and $40 when I was there. Now, I don't know what they're getting now. I know in the past, before me, there had been a time when they got a lot more money. I tend to think they don't get as much money now, but that was kind of an average range, $20 to $40 over the course of a day. And then you drop it all into the jar. Every now and then, though, you would have a guest that would surprise you with a 10. And on a handful of occasions, a 20. And then you're kind of going, whoa, that's outside the range. At that point, you're asking the guest, are you sure? Are you really sure? You want to give that to the train robber? You'd really want to confirm. That would be kind of when I would go by the old Disney 3 no's rule. Except, are you sure you want to give that? 3 are you sure's. And I actually had a couple times where I got $20 bills off of people. Actually, in every case with the 20s, they specifically told me, that is for you. Okay, I like you. You're my friend. And then you would occasionally get a guest that would do something unusual. I had one guest one time where we were at a part of the show where I was playing Ralphie. I'm the dumb one. And Alfie is teaching me how to rob. There's a part of the show where Alfie tells Ralphie that you're going to go practice on the train. And he points out a lady and he says,
all right, I'm going to learn it again. Pay attention. Okay. First thing you do is put your hand out just like this. Good, good. Now put a mean, nasty look on your face.
Well, I'm in a nasty.
You get more money that way.
Okay.
You call that nasty?
She does.
All right, since you've taken such like that cow, how much you got to practice on?
Oh, boy.
Go down there, look her square in the eye and say, give me all your gold and silver. Blockhead.
Give me all your gold and silver, you blockhead.
Ralph! You're the blockhead.
I'm sorry, I'm the blockhead.
Ralph, she knowed that already.
How'd you know that? I just found out.
Everybody knows that. Ralph, look, just give me all your gold and silver.
I ain't got none.
It's what you say to her.
I ain't got none.
Ralph, get over here. You're making my hair hurt.
Oh.
So this lady that we picked out for this part apparently took it as a compliment. She ended up being at the half of the train that I robbed afterwards. So we do this whole little routine. We go down, we go to start robbing the train, and I come up to her and she peels off a $1 bill. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. I got money. It's working. And then she peels off another $1 bill. Oh, right, I like you. You're my favorite. And she peels off another $1 bill. Wow, okay, this is getting pretty cool. And so I'm making a little production, and she pulls off a 5 and holds it up. Hey, wow, we're really getting somewhere with this. So I do this whole little spin. So at this point, I got a $5 bill over my head, and I'm spinning in a circle, and I'm making a big to-do. She pulls off another $5 bill. At this point, I look at what she's holding in her hand. The next thing there is a 10. I'm going, okay, I got to call this off because I got another half of the train to rob, and this is going to... I don't know if I want her to start pulling the 10. So she gives me $13 in total. And at this point, I got to get moving. But I was like, wow. And so I made sure to, a couple more times, call her out during the show. And, wow, this is, really nice. And you just made my day. That was very unusual to have one person do that. It made it a lot of fun, and it was definitely one of those that as she started pulling off the bigger bills, there was definitely a, are you sure that you want to do? I will happily take your money from you, but I want to make sure you actually want to give it. Other times we would get unusual things, and it would get kind of personal. I can remember one time I had one gentleman, as I'm robbing the train, he reaches down and hands me this rolled up piece of paper. And as I open this up, it's actually a picture of me robbing the train from a few days earlier, and it's done up as a wanted poster. Wanted, Alfie Boland for robbing trains. And it's a picture of me robbing the train. And I'm just like, this is so cool. It's honestly, it's one of my favorite things. I wanted to show it to you. I tried digging, but all the chaos are moving. I don't know where it is. But it's one of my favorite things that I've gotten off of the train. And I kept several things. I've kept note cards. I've kept thank you notes and pictures and stuff like that. I love stuff like that. But that wanted poster is still one of my favorites. So the fact that not only did he take the picture of me robbing the train, but a few days later comes back and gives it to me as a poster. That was cool. But the time it really got personal really kind of caught me by surprise. We would occasionally get some of the employees who would ride the train, and if we knew they were employees, we always did a little bit extra. We had a group of employees out there, young men and women, who were part of a program called the Navigators. They would work at the park, and then they had a program of leadership training and discipleship, and just a wonderful program that helped them become better people, but also helped us have enough employees to be able to run the park. The Navigators, we had two of them on the train that year, one of them being Devin. Devin was my buddy. I love Devin to death. Lost him a few years ago, and that still hurts. Devin was an amazing guy. So I get this radio call that I'm supposed to rob the back half of the train, that we had a number of employees on there. Okay, that's cool. And as they come around the bend, I can see that the whole entire last car, is a bunch of the Navigators. I can recognize a couple of the people that I'm working with, that I recognize a bunch of their friends. So there's several people I know there. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to play up with the Navigators. Now, when we've got employees on the train, we will have a little bit of fun. And so as they come around, we're doing the regular robbery, and as I come around, I'm just kind of teasing and harassing and, giving them a good time. Not doing anything mean or inappropriate, but I'm definitely having some fun with them for the robbery. Not expecting anything. I mean, goodness knows, they're college kids. They don't have any money. So I go through and I rob, and as I get to the back of the train, one of the last ones says, well, we're going to let you rob us. Here you go. And hands me this envelope. And I'm like, what on earth are you giving me an envelope? It's a fairly thick envelope. Why are you giving me an envelope? Okay, and so I tuck it into my bib overalls real quick, and I go running back because Ralphie just got up there. And so we continue on. We start to finish the show. And somewhere in there, one of the guys yells at me, you need to look at the envelope. Okay. What I hadn't said is, at that time, we were really going through a financial struggle. We were just having a very hard time. During those years I was at Silver Dollar City, money was tight. And at that point in time, we were actually struggling. We had an electric bill, and we didn't have money to pay for it. And I had shared it with some of the guys that morning because we were close enough friends. I was like, hey guys, we pray for each other. Pray that somehow we can figure out how we're going to pay this electric bill before it gets cut off, because we don't know how we're going to do it. And then I forgot about it. Well, Devin had apparently gone to all of his other friends and had shared with them while they were working what was going on. And so all of these college kids got together and they basically pooled money. And as finally, as they're starting to pull out, I pulled this envelope back out again and began to look. And here's all this money, along with a note in there that said why they were giving me the money, that they were paying for me, and then it had a total. And the total that they gave was almost exactly the amount that I owed on my electric bill. And I'm just sitting there going, it's still one of the moments that touches me the most, because it was a time that I didn't expect anything. I certainly didn't expect these kids to do that. And to have them go forth and meet a need when I wasn't expecting it. And right in front of everybody, as the train's leaving, I started to break down and cry and just lose it. And I think Devin was actually the conductor on that one. And man, I miss Devin. I lost Devin a couple years ago. He was way too young. But they blessed me that day. They shocked me in a way that I never expected. And that still may be my most memorable robbery. So you never knew what you were going to get off the trains. You would get touched a lot of times. You had a lot of people that enjoyed the robbery, and a lot of people loved the robbers, and we loved them right back. And to have something like that was just an amazing moment on the train. So yes, I did have a time when robbing the train when they made me cry out there. Have you ever seen other incredible events on the train? Maybe it's not just the Silver Dollar Cities. I know Knott's Berry Farm does robberies, and Tweetsy does them still, and some other stuff. Have you seen some neat stuff that people have gotten off the train when they were robbing it? I'd love to hear your stories. Please leave them in the comments below. You can all see the mess with the moving. There is a lot more going on with that. I share that with my patrons and my supporters. They get the behind the scenes info. If you want to know more about that and financial support and the perks that come with it, along with merchandise and fan pages and how to contact me and more, please be sure to check the description below. There's a ton of information there. Less than 700 subs away from 30,000. Let's hit it. I got big stuff coming up for it. So don't forget that, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. You never knew what you were going to get when you were robbing trains. Okay, I'm too close. I realize I'm forgetting something. Crap. Now, we did like to keep track of how much... Okay, no, we don't want to do that. I still remember I have been out robbing trains. Coins generally would go into a big jar in our robber shack. Excuse me. Oh. All right. Coins generally would kind of go into our pockets so we'd Coins generally would go into our pockets or however we could hold them until the end of the show. And then we had a big jar, and I mean a big jar, in the robber shack that they would... Can't talk. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to know about contact information, fan pages, merchandise, and more, please be sure to check the description below. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to know when I have new ones, well, make sure you hit that subscribe button right up there. And if you want to see another one of my videos, well, I've got a great one for you right here. And a huge thank you to these wonderful people here who support me on Patreon and with YouTube memberships. They get behind the scenes information, special perks, and more. If you'd like to know more about that, well, make sure you check that button right there. Thank you so much.